What's up, amigos? When was the last time you heard a person say, I can't breathe, and he died in the hand of the policeman? I'm sure every one of us remember George Floyd. It was on the TVs, it was on the newspapers everywhere in the world. But how about Henry Nowak, the 18-year-old from England? Have you heard anything about it? So let us talk about this case. It is a very serious case that I'm scared this can happen in America. It is happening in America right now. So let's go straight to the point. I saw this in England, and I think it's important for us to hear.
Can we get now to Henry Nowak, who is a teenager who was bleeding out of his own body whilst being handcuffed by cops because they believed his murderer that a racial slur had been made. Now, there's a few things to unpick here. I don't think anyone should be cuffed or arrested for hurty words, even if it's a disgusting racial slur. What does this case tell us about the culture of British policing?
So this is a very strong point. I agree with him 100%. I know there's a lot of stupid people in the world, but you cannot just handcuff a person because he said something hurtful. And the problem here is the bias. I in America, I've been in America for some time now, and I've always heard the white privilege. And honestly, there is no such a thing as white privilege. And today, when people tell me about, what do you think about white privilege? I tell them there is a white disadvantage. There is no such a thing as a white privilege. It's a white disadvantage. There is no privilege of being white in America because there is biased towards them. So in this case in London, not in London, but in England, it's the same thing. The police assumed the white person was the guilty one for the fact that he was white. So in America, the same thing is happening. Being white today in America is a disadvantage. As a Latino, I can see clearly that it's a situation they are trying to play white privilege. There's no such a thing as a white privilege.
Again, I think it's another a good example. Good not being perhaps the best description, but it's a very pertinent example of how this progressive discrimination is playing out. The presumption, I think it was 3 women officers came to the scene and found Nowak on the ground, and the presumption in their minds was the white guy must be guilty. Yeah. And when the Sikh guy with his kirpan accused him of racist comments, well, that was enough because hurty words have now become the new criminal. What the police are targeting is criminality. And Hurty, he didn't apparently say anything racist, by the way. No. But even if he'd said repugnant things, abhorrent things that you and I would find unacceptable in polite society, that is no excuse to get a knife out and stab the guy. And the police, having been confronted by Nowak, having seen Nowak on the ground pleading for them to look at his wounds and for protection, they should have done something in his favor. In fact, I understand they laughed at him. And that is repugnant. That is repugnant, that they laughed at this man who died a few moments later.
Yeah, he had a stab wound, and he told the police that he couldn't breathe. And the police didn't believe him. The police believed the other guy because this biased. He is white, so he had to be a guilty one. This is unbelievable. And the trial just ended this week, and the police asked, sorry, is that enough? And the media hides it. The media doesn't want to talk about it because they don't want to make a comparison with George Floyd, which we know what exactly happened.
It also demonstrates the selective moral blindness of the woke left, doesn't it? And how unempathetic these people are, Ben, that you can be so blinded by ideology that you don't notice or won't acknowledge a man literally bleeding out of his own body who says, I can't breathe, who says that he's been stabbed. Their answer, I don't think so.
Yeah. And, where does this head? this heads to what I would loosely define as a native population in the United Kingdom that is going to kick off against the institutions that govern it if the institutions don't get a grip themselves. The institutions, our government, need to wake up to the very serious damage that's taken place. Otherwise, the people will eventually take matters into their own hands. And that won't be good for anyone.
And unfortunately, when I look at England, I don't know if that is a way back from it. England was invaded, and I don't know. I lived in England for like a year and a half, and it was wonderful. But that was 20 years ago, a little bit over 20 years ago. It's completely different than now. And the question is, can they fix it? I don't know. People are going to jail for posting things on Facebook. And that's very, very scary. And my worry is this can happen in America as well. It's coming to America. So I see this is Elon Musk. Elon Musk is doing a good job about this because it was Elon Musk. Please, the body cam videos. So we want to see the videos. We want to see because the police had the body cam. So we want to see what happened. We want to spread this. We want to, show everyone what's going on. Let's see this other cut here. Let's do it.
I think we've just had Britain's George Floyd moment, except the victim in question was an innocent British young lad and not an American serial criminal and heavy drug user. Henry Nowak was stabbed in the heart, his legs, his face and his jaw. He was attacked by this man, Vikram Digwa, who was yesterday found guilty of murder. What happened was that Digwa's brother, Gurpreet, called police after the attack and falsely claimed that Henry Nowak had been racist towards his brother. They did not call an ambulance, even though they must have known that Nowak had been stabbed. Then Digwa's mother arrived at the scene. She just turned up and she took and then hid the ceremonial knife that was used to stab Henry Nowak to death. She was then found guilty of assisting an offender. So then what happened next? Well, it appears that 3 female police officers turned up. Henry Nowak told them that he'd been stabbed. They said, "No, you haven't." They then handcuffed him and they didn't check him for stab wounds. He then told them that he couldn't breathe and he sadly died, handcuffed, accused of being a racist. And what actually happened was that he drowned in his own blood. The claims that Henry Nowak had said something racist or knocked Digwa's turban off his head were completely blown apart during the trial. Because what actually happened again was that Digwa had stolen Henry Nowak's phone, which contained footage of the build-up to the stabbing. And it revealed that Nowak had not been racist. He'd asked why Digwa was walking around carrying a sword, which I think is fair enough when you think about it, really. And Digwa had responded by saying, "I'm a bad man," and then stabbed him multiple times. Now, I just want to reiterate that Henry's last words here were, "I can't breathe." And that's important.
This is very important because the media is not talking about it. If we don't talk about it, nobody's going to talk about it. And that's the importance of us to make videos and show to the people what's really happening. These reverse racism against white people, this bias against white people, where the society, the policeman, it has this pressure over him that he has to look at the white people as the always guilty. The white people is, like I told you, there's no such a thing as white privilege. It's a white disadvantage now. We play with my friends, like, I mean, if I could, I wouldn't say I'm white because there's disadvantage being white now in America and most parts in the world because there is this bias against white people. And this is clear. They don't want to say it because if they say it, the truth is going to be seen by everybody. And it's a very, very sad situation. Very sad situation. And he is going to bring what happened to America when a guy said, "I can't breathe."
Because I'm sure that many people will remember this, what happened to George Floyd, where, of course, he was dying in the street. He died in the street as a police officer had his knee on his neck, and he was saying, wasn't he, I can't breathe, I can't breathe. Now, I'm not saying that George Floyd deserved to die. Obviously not, he didn't. But what I am saying is that George Floyd had multiple previous criminal convictions, including a 2007 aggravated robbery where he held a gun to a woman's stomach, and he did have multiple different drugs in his system at the time. People tried to burn cities to the ground in the wake of George Floyd's death. It prompted the whole Black Lives Matter movement. His death sparked protests right here in Britain.
Black Lives Matter! All Black Lives Matter!
Wait, take a new Come on!
Yes,
That was the most pathetic moment of my life, is to see these people taking the knee. It was the most pathetic moment that I've ever seen in my life. I mean, we have the COVID, was also pathetic, but nothing as pathetic as this. Seeing policemen getting down on their knee, ridiculous. And all those Democrats, that did all this show, where are they now? Hypocrites. They never cared about the guy who died. It was just an opportunity for them to destroy places and bring the Marxist idea or ideology to many countries in the world. That's all happened. Now, a white guy died in the much worse manner. And where are the protests? Where are the people on the street? It shows the hypocrisy of these people.
Police officers literally taking the knee.
This is pathetic. This is really pathetic. It's sad. Thank God in America, our police, I still see a great respect in our police. But these police from London and England in general, they are pathetic. It's like you don't even want to look at it, how pathetic they are. But look at this. Elon Musk is doing a good job, put these in acts, and I think we should, show the world what's going on. Look at this. Both men said I can breathe, but only one man's death was covered recently by the media. The only conclusion that I can be drawn is that the legacy mainstream media is incredibly hatefully racist against whites. I agree. Yeah. Okay. The end of wokeness. The updates today, right? 29th. Zero story from AP, zero story from PBS, zero stories from New York Times, zero story from NPR, zero stories from Wall Street Journal. Wall Street Journal used to be a good, newspapers going lefty as well. Zero story from CNN, zero story for WAPO, zero story for Reuters, zero story. No one's talking about it. And the reason no one's talking about it is white. We cannot allow this to happen in America. May God bless you. May God bless America. See you next time.